So, Deb, I'm laughing at you. Going back and forth in the two different accounts, talking to yourself. But you're talking to Carol and you're talking to me. So it's not just you. Hopefully, some more will be trickling in, which, of course, is why I like to get this. One of the reasons why I like to get started early. I see my throat's already going to be a problem. But yeah, because I'm still hoping, it seems like it does work if I come on a few minutes early to get those notifications out there, and then people start coming in and hopefully can get here on time when I get to the actual questions. Um, I still got to figure out if I want to start on the hour or at the quarter till time that I set the show for. What I will say is if you're coming into the replay and you want to get directly to the questions, well, I don't know what to say. You may have to go in 15 minutes, but then again, I may start 5 minutes from the time that this video started. So hopefully everyone can hear me fine. Looks like my mic's working. So I know Carol's here and Deb's here twice. Two Debs. I have two. She has a doppelganger. And then Brenda from Kansas. I was looking at my pans called Green Life and then looked up online. They sound safe. I've never heard of those ones, so I really can't say. I just know that the Hexclad is the one I've looked in because I heard so many good things about Hexclad, and I'm like, why am I very, very, very suspicious that those are made with Teflon? And I just had a bad feeling, and so I did some research on their own website, and that's what I found out. I'm gonna go ahead and do my greeting right now. So, hello everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and thanks for dropping in. I'm gonna chat about whatever for a little bit, whatever strikes my fancy. And then I'll get into my list of questions. So most of the questions I have written down here are from Sunday's live. So this is kind of how I'm looking at doing this. This seems to work out really well. So do the live on Sunday, and I had a lot of questions come in, and I was surprised at how many that came in that I didn't see. And I was going back through the chat going, oh, I missed a lot more than I thought. So mostly that's what I'm doing. If I didn't answer it in the video, then I wanted to address it here. And then any other questions that may have come in through emails and comments on YouTube. And yes, thank you, Deb. The reminder to everyone is if you want me to make sure I actually see your question, whether it be during the live or when I go back and look for the questions to see what I might have missed, make sure the whole thing is in all caps. The whole thing. Not only does it make it easier for me to read without having to put my glasses on, that makes it easier for me to find when I'm scrolling back through to look for those particular questions. So, just like the question up here by Brenda. She put that in all caps. I knew it was question, and of course, has a question mark after it, but the all caps just really makes it stand out. So I was thinking, it was funny because last Wednesday, I started the show with Hobbs, and I'm like, I should have waited till today because today I'm wearing orange. It would have been better. That's okay. I like my Hobbs. I was kind of surprised some people didn't know who Hobbs was, but then again, not everybody can know everything. So, yeah. And those who are not a fan of Calvin and Hobbes might not realize that Hobbes is Calvin's little boy, very pretentious, very precocious, and he has a stuffed tiger that he named Hobbes. And when nobody else is around, Hobbes is more realistic, and they talk and they do all this stuff together. But whenever anybody else is in the room, Hobbes looks like this, just kind of a floppy stuffed animal. So I crocheted this years ago. Years ago. I don't know how long it's been. 20 years? I don't know. And when we got the eyes though everything's crocheted, the nose and the eyes are just felt that I just simply glued on there. Well, after we got Cody and then Luna was here too, they were just puppies. They got a hold of my hobs and chewed the eyes off. Thankfully, that's all they chewed off was the eyes. And that was easy. I just had to replace the eyes. Thankfully, they didn't bite through any of the yarn. Little stinkers. I'm not sure how they got hold of them. My chicken, my stuffed chicken, I named Helga that I had here one day. Cody got a hold of that and chewed a hole in the foot. So it's got stuffing hanging out of it. I need to hand stitch that closed. I was not happy. I bought that chicken, by the way, because when Jax was really little bitty, it was always the first word he said here was chicken, chicken, because I'd be out there calling the chickens, and it was so dang cute. I got this video of him rocking back and forth, chicken, and he just loves the chickens. So I got the stuffed chicken, so it'd just be here. He kind of played with it a little bit, but he's a boy. He's not really into stuffed animals. So anyway, hello everyone coming in. Will you be making more crochet videos? Oh, probably. When the fancy strikes me, I do. I have quite a few out. I usually try to focus on either more simple and practical things, but I know I've got a video on at least making that Irish rose square that can be used to make an Afghan. You make a whole bunch of them, and because I was working on that Afghan. The funny thing was some of those I'm sorry, I keep kicking the table, so it's jittery. But those Afghans I made over a year ago, last year, whatever. I made them only because I'd made several of those before and never took any photos of them because they were going out as gifts. They were going into auctions, local auctions to raise money for good causes. And I realized I never got pictures of them. So I wanted to make those Afghans again and get some photos. And then I gifted them to some friends. It's a lot of work. So yeah, that Irish rose square was so beautiful. It wasn't my pattern. I did make sure I gave the pattern creator credit and linked to their pattern, but it was free. That was really nice because that's what I used to do for all the sweaters I've made, all but one. They were patterns that I found. Those weren't my own. Those also were not my own creation as far as patterns go. I create a lot of my own patterns, but those I did not. Because I was like, before, I didn't know how I could create a sweater pattern unless I make a sweater first. So I just went online and started looking up free crochet sweater patterns. I found a lot on Ravelry.com. I can't remember. I think one's called Drops. You can get a lot of free. They got a lot of beautiful ones there. That's where I got that circle sweater. The whole thing's crochet, like a big circle. And then you leave 2 holes as you're making that circle where you're gonna put the sleeves in, but then the part, the circle just ends up becoming like a collar, and I love it. It's so easy to do. It's gotta be one of the easiest sweaters to whip up. So, by the way, if you go to my Patreon, which is linked in the description, remember all of my stuff on Patreon is free to everyone. I don't lock anything down to only those who pay. I'm just not sure how the search works, but if they do have a search bar, try putting in if you'd like to find some of those. I did go and gather because those were like years ago. I found those. So I had to re-find a lot of them, and some of them were in completely different places. But I found most of those sweater patterns. And then I put the links to them in a Patreon post, so they were all in one place. So you might be able to find that if you go to my Patreon and then search for sweater patterns or sweater crochet patterns or something, if you're interested. Yeah, because a lot of people were asking me, it's like, well, they were free patterns. The only one that I ended up paying for was the one called Butterfly Sweater. And you'll see sometimes when I show pictures of my crochet sweaters, you'll see me in a red sweater, very, very lacy, big sleeves. That one I did purchase. That one took me a long time to do. It wasn't hard per se, but there was a lot more work involved in that particular one. So, yes, kind of crazy. We're in 2025 now already. Hopefully, it's a better year. I think I will wait until the hour to start talking about the questions because I got a few more things I want to approach. I always, well, and interact with you guys. I always wanted to learn to crochet. My grandma always made Afghans. I taught myself how to crochet with a book that I found at our local craft store here. We do actually have, it's a pharmacy slash arts and crafts slash gift shop. Kind of we're a small town. So they don't have tons and tons of fabric there, but they have some things. And so I had found a book on learn how to crochet there. I decided because I saw another book there that had patterns, and it had this other type of floral pattern Afghan that I thought was just so amazingly beautiful that I wanted to learn how to make it. So I bought that book, the Afghan book, and I bought the Learn How to Crochet in a Day book. And I did. It literally learned how to crochet for the most part in a day, but there were some other things that, you have to kind of learn along the way, some of the little tricky things. But remember, on my main channel, Rain Country 1, or just Rain Country, I have that whole series on crochet. I redid the first 3 videos, but the Crochet 101, and I redid the first 3 videos just to make them more clear and brighter picture and all that. So I reshot them and everything. And then, but yeah, I give you the very, very basics to get started. The chain stitch, single crochet, double crochet. And then I go on to, once I give you those basics, I have some simple patterns that once you've got those basics, you can do it. So you can make your own handle covers for your cast iron skillets and whatnot. I have tons of those. I have the 2 different shapes because I have the long skinny one for the skillet handle. And then I have the short wide one that looks more like a clamshell or like a cup or something that I can put over wider handles. And we use them both a lot. Like the wider one we use for our coffee pot, because it's always on the wood stove. Well, at least this time of year. So Sandra D, Grandma Ginger Farm, Tammy K, Robin Willis. Oh, I'm going to miss a bunch of people. Erica Ray, Judy. Oh gosh, I can't see the name. Sulak? I'm probably going to say it wrong. So I probably shouldn't even read these. Miss Jones. T-Ot question. Where can we find non-GMO herbs, seeds, or dried? Well, I'll tell you. First of all, when it comes to seeds, I do sell a lot of my herb seeds. They're non-GMO, they're organic. When I first started buying seeds, I hadn't even heard of it. I had found it by searching. I found Baker Creek. Now I don't buy from them anymore for certain reasons, but they do have non-GMO organic heirloom seeds if you want to look there for. But if you want to look into the seeds I sell, you want to see what I have, just email me, raincountryhomestead@gmail.com, and just ask for a product list, and I'll just email it right back to you. It's just a list. It tells you, and it has the list of seeds in there and some of the other products we sell and how to order information. Have you ever tried waterproofing, water resistant treatment for long skirts? I haven't. That's not a bad idea, but no, I haven't. I haven't thought to do that. You think I should where I'm living, but hi, Diametra. Good to see you, Debbie Kruger. So before I get into the written questions, I did have a couple things I wrote down, other things I wrote down, just a little update. So I did get some more a fresh ginger from Azure Standard, and I've got most of it dehydrating next to the wood stove. I did make a short on it, and I can't remember what channel it's publishing on. I think it's this one, but it might not be until Friday. But it's simple. I just chop it up, set it on my racks next to the wood stove. It dries beautifully there. I don't have to put it on top of the wood stove. I don't have to use my electric dehydrators. And I don't even peel it. I don't even bother to peel it. And then I just, Mountain Rose herbs, they do have good dried herbs to buy. I do not buy from them anymore. I stopped buying from them years ago for my own personal moral reasons and things that they supported that I did not agree with. Um, but I do have a video out there on my main channel on where I get most of my herbs now, which is the first place I look now on herbs I don't already grow, obviously, are is Azure Standard because they carry a lot of really great organic stuff, a lot of it grown right here in the US. I think they get as much Oregon-based stuff as they can since they're based out of Oregon. And then the next two places are on Amazon. They have their own storefront, and that would be Frontier Co-op. And I've been buying from them for a very long time. And Anthony's Goods. Now, both Anthony's Goods and Azure Standard are getting more and more organic herbs in all the time. In fact, I just noticed the other day that Anthony's Goods is now selling the activated charcoal. And Anthony's Goods has it probably and Azure Standard are the two that have probably the best prices. And then Frontier Co-op is an excellent source too. And their stuff, well, all of them have their stuff packaged really well too. So, yeah, so those are the three main places. And then if I can't, usually I can find what I need. If Azure doesn't have it, usually Frontier does. Anthony's, because they're still a newish company and still adding all the time. They're, like I said, they're getting more and more stuff, but you might not always find exactly what it is you're looking for. So yeah. And then the other thing I did, again, Azure Standard, was I'd forgot that I bought they're organic milk chocolate chips, which are so good. The last organic chocolate chips I bought, I was thinking I found them in milk chocolate, but I didn't. They only had the semi-sweet. And I prefer milk chocolate, though semi-sweet is really good in cookies anyway. So I'd stocked up on those, but then I noticed that Azure had the organic milk chocolate chips, which are almost impossible to find organic. And they are very good. Now, I could make my own chocolate chips, but I just haven't bothered. But I do make my own chocolates from time to time. And I have lots of recipes on that. They're all my own recipes I've created. Well, I shouldn't take all the credit because they're based off of a recipe I found on wellnessmama.com. If you're not following Katie at Wellness Mama, well, I'm not there all the time, but she used to do a podcast I used to listen to regularly long before I started my channel. And but she's got a ton of great recipes that she's come up with. That's where I got the base to my mascara recipe. I took her recipe, tweaked it a little bit, because I always do that. Same thing with the chocolate. And then from the basic chocolate recipe that she had, I started then creating more recipes like the peppermint patty and the peanut butter cups and that kind of stuff. And it's all organic because I get organic cacao butter and organic cacao powder, which, by the way, I haven't had to buy any in a long time because I stocked up on a lot. I hope that heater is not too noisy. It came on. It's pretty chilly in this room. This is the one room we do have the heater on sometimes in the winter because the wood heat from the other room, it just, unless I keep those fans up here, I don't know if you could even see them. Well, there's one right there and there's one over there, or no, over there on the other side. And, or there's two, one there and one there, and there's two more over there. And they can blow the hot air in from the living room, but they're loud. So I do that when I was teaching dance. But anyway, so I hope this heater, the electric one, isn't too loud. I keep it as low as I can so it's at least not freezing in here. And things don't mildew because, it can happen if you don't keep a room heated in the wintertime. Anyway, I got sidetracked. Sorry about that. Now I can't even. Darn it. Somebody help me. What did I forget? What was I talking about? I can't remember. Don't hear it. Don't hear what? Oh, don't hear the. Obviously, you're answering my question. Me, duh. Yeah, I was talking about herbs, but I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, the chocolate. So yeah, the price of chocolate of cacao powder or cocoa powder and cocoa butter. I cannot believe it. I haven't had to stock up on it in so long. And I was looking to see what Azure Standard had, because if it gets to that point where maybe I want to start stocking up on it again, I was like, even for Azure Standard, that sounds really expensive. So I thought, well, I'm going to go look at the price of the stuff I used to buy on Amazon. Very expensive. So it's just gone through the roof. So I'm not even sure it's all, you're really saving much money making your own chocolate these days. But I still like to stay stocked up on the cocoa butters and powders, because I can do a lot of stuff with that. So I make my eyeliner using an Indian technique using ghee. You burn the ghee, and gather the ash, add a drop of oil and mix it with the ash. Oh, that's very cool. Been making my eyeliner like that for years. That is really cool. I can use the mascara recipe. Makes a pretty good eyeliner. I just prefer using a pencil, but I've used it as an eyeliner. So in a pinch, I can still do that. I don't really like the brush method. I prefer pencil. So anyway, so yeah, those were the two things. That was a kind of little update. So they got the ginger dehydrating, and I took care of those chocolate chips. And I put most of them into, it was a 5-pound bag, and I filled, I think, a total of 6 pint jars, because a pint jar, that's about what you put in a batch of cookies. And then I had some extras I just left so we can snack on them whenever we feel like it, as is. Now, remember, people, please put your questions in all caps. I know it's hard because it makes it feel like you're yelling at me. But when you're talking about a chat like this, all caps means I know you're asking a question. I know it's directed at me, and I can read it so much better, especially with my bad eyes. I hate having to put the reading glasses on because, they make a weird reflection. I will if I have to, but it's a lot easier if you all caps. Let's see. Can you talk more about cocoa butter? I have cocoa. How do you use the butter? I use the butter mostly for making the chocolate. So if you go to my main Rain Country channel, just look up Rain Country chocolate. You'll probably find my playlist. So the cocoa butter, number one, I don't like using cocoa butter in the skin cream because it is the worst for pilling. I mean, beeswax and can do that too, but it doesn't happen as often as the cocoa butter. For some reason, pills really bad. Like you might have it all nice and smooth, and then after a while, it just wants to pill up. So I tried it. I just don't like using it for that, but I use it for making homemade chocolate. But then for chocolate syrup, I don't use it in that. I just use I use cocoa powder, all organic, of course. Milk and sugar is about all you need. Vanilla extract, homemade, of course. So anyway, I want to get started on the questions that came in on Sunday, and then if there's time, I will I'll see if there's any more questions coming in here, and if I don't get to them in here, I will try to answer them either next week or whenever, or on the Sunday live show. Though Sunday, by the way, how I try to do is Wednesday live show here is all about the Q&A, where Sunday is going to be about a specific topic that I've chosen. Not that I won't answer questions, but yeah. So, and I already have my topic laid out for that and for the following Sunday if it works out. So there goes this light again. Oh, doggone it. What's going on here? It lost power. Did it come unplugged? Hang on just a minute. It might have come unplugged. Oh, you know what? I think the problem is my cord. This is my older one, and the cord is kind of munched. I don't know what happened to it. So, first question. It just looks better if I have both lights. Well, not like that. Gotta get the right color so it doesn't make me look quite so washed out. Because the fluorescent lights, even though I don't turn them all on, they really make me look washed out. Let's see. Somebody asked, okay, so I had that video that came out that did really good on 5 unexpected things to stock. And the reason I worded it that way, the point was that it might be common things, but they might not be the things you would think to have extras on hand. Well, somebody was asking, what if I do not have the space for these things? Well, most of these things were fairly small. They're things most people should be able to make space for. And by the way, I have a second one coming out. It'll be a few weeks, but I did shoot a second one, and I've already putting together the notes for a third one. In that, I'm going to have a whole series of those. But the thing is about, and this just doesn't apply just to those weird little things I was talking about, but to food, water, and so on, is that a lot of times it's just like with anything else, it's learning how to be creative with what you have. Same thing with your garden space. Learn how to be creative with the space you have. You may be surprised if you just, once you start doing something and your mind starts working, you might be able to come up with some ideas that you never thought of. So I actually did a video, it might be a few years old now, where I was talking about food storage for small spaces. I think that's the name of it. Again, this is on my main channel, so you'd have to find it there. But even if you just put in whatever the search bar is on YouTube, rain country, small spaces, you should pull up two different videos, one on gardening for small spaces and one on food storage. And in that video, I shared we actually have quite a bit of space, as far as home space, even though we're just right here. We're only on a shy 1/3 acre lot, but we have plenty of storage here. But still, I'm always trying to find ways to make the most out of my storage. So I gave a few ideas of like what I do here, because we have chicken feed, we have people feed, we have dog feed, and then all the other things that we like to store for hard times. But I also included some ideas and photos into that video of, so people who live in little tiny places or apartments could start, just getting some ideas of maybe ways they could rethink what they have to start making the most. So, um, there's one obvious thing is like under bed storage space. Now you may already have that filled up with shoes or your summer clothes in the winter, your winter clothes in the summer. I don't know, but that's one. You might find that in your different closets, your shelves in your closets, you might have spaces that you're not thinking of. Those are just the simple kind of obvious things, but there's far more that you can do. And one example I bring up, because even though I don't think I'd ever do this or need to, but I thought it was an interesting idea, was this lady who was buying like packets, like mostly soup in the little skinny packets, like the foil packets, and taking apart doors in her house and hiding them inside the doors because she could fit them inside the doors. I'm like, that's pretty creative. I mean, I personally wouldn't do that, but that's one way to use some space you might not be thinking of. Um, I know in one of my videos, I think it was a preparedness testimonies no, it was a food storage. It was probably one of the last photo collaboration videos I did. And there was one lady that was showing, she actually took pictures of some of the creative different areas that she's storing her food that were a little different because she's trying to make the most of the small space that she has. And so yeah, I think it was the food storage subscriber collaboration. I think it was that one. So, there's ways that you can make things work. You just got to kind of look at what you have. Is it possible you have furniture like a couch, a love seat or something where you can maybe take apart the back of it and put food inside of that thing? Uh or maybe you wanna stick with lightweight stuff, like medical supplies or, like bandages and toilet paper and those kind of things. So that furniture would still be easy to move because if it's full of, canned foods or jars, might make it a little too heavy. But anyway, just it's about, again, learning how to be creative with the space that you have and make the most out of it. So, let me go ahead and move on to the next question, which is somebody was asking me about, this was an email about natural fibers. So, do I wear a lot of natural fibers? Do I have natural fiber sheets? Yes. So, I have, well, I've always used cotton sheets. Well, I shouldn't say always. I think there was a while there I was probably using a cotton blend, not knowing what it was, or microfiber, not knowing what it was, I think. But I did away with that a long time ago. So then I made sure we switched to 100% cotton. Then, thanks to a couple of my followers, one of them being Darlene Schreiber, told me about the linen sheets. And I got to looking into them. I'm like, wow, those are even more expensive than the 100% cotton ones, like twice as expensive or more, even 3 times as much. But I'm like, I should give them a try. I don't think I could ever go back to even cotton. Linen sheets, in my personal opinion, are the best, especially for menopausal women or any woman, that is having hot flashes, whether you be premenopausal, you're in the middle of it, or you're still having the hot flashes afterwards. It is amazing. And because of the sheets, I then, all my skirts were 100% cotton, and my t-shirts, my sweatshirts, my flannels, 100% cotton. But because of the sheets, and I was really starting to hate I think they're 100% cotton, but I was buying like cotton sweats for really cheap and then refabricating them to make them more like, you know, for better for wearing under my skirts as pantaloons, bloomers, whatever you want to call them. And I got to where I decided I really didn't like those. I wore them for years, but after I got into the linen, I started making those completely from scratch out of linen. Love them so much. I could never go back to anything else to wear under my skirts but linen. I mean, I'll still wear my cotton skirts, but at least underneath the linen pants. So they keep me warm enough in winter. They keep me cool enough in summer that I don't have to not wear them in summer. So linen is my personal favorite. And then my next favorite is cotton. And so I go as natural as I can. I even make my own support tops, and they are mostly 100% cotton, except for the little stretchy support band I create at the bottom, which does have some lycra in it to help give it that proper stretch and hold that I need. I'm considering coming up with a different idea for that, but at any rate, I have a video on that and how I make them. In that video, I talked about making the stretchy band at the bottom, and it wasn't until after that video I decided to go ahead and do it. And now that's all I wear. And so, yes, and I highly recommend it. In fact, I've become so sensitive now to most things that have like, artificial, synthetic uh fibers in it, that even if it's a blend, I'll know it. And I can't, like, I had this shirt that I thought was 100% cotton, because silly me, I do this thing where it's like, okay, 100% cotton t-shirt. I was looking for a light green chicken t-shirt. Specific. I was very specific. And one popped up and it was so cute. Well, it took me a while to get there. And I'm like, oh, and I forgot to double check and make sure it was 100% cotton. But it was cute. It was the color I wanted. And so I bought it, but every time I'd wear it, which I never wear it for long, so it would be something I'd only want to wear. I want to keep it nice because it's light color and I'll destroy it, kind of like this. I would never wear this white shirt just on a normal basis around the house, which I don't know if you can see it. This one is so cute. It's a dandelion, and the seeds are all little tiny chickens. I love it. It's so cute. But at any rate, so I mean, and of course, there's other types of natural fibers you can go with. Those are just my 2 favorites. But anyway, so I was wearing this chicken shirt one day. We'd gone to the beach. This last summer, and I'm like, something about this shirt does not feel right to me. It just does not feel right. I hadn't noticed it before because I was usually only wearing it in videos or when just running out and about for a bit. But we were at the beach for a good, we were gone all day and I was wearing that shirt and I'm like, I know this isn't right. So when I got home, I checked the tag and sure enough, there was not as much cotton in there, not even like a 90-10 or an 80-20. I think it was mostly some kind of unnatural fiber. And I'm like, this explains why I can't stand wearing this shirt all day. And so I'm finding that more and more. That kind of stuff didn't used to bother me. It bothers me now. And so yeah, I had to start switching to just all natural fibers that I wear. At least anything that's going to touch my skin directly. So, yeah. I can't wear synthetic since yeah. Yeah, same. Same. It just seems like ever since going through menopause, all of a sudden my skin became sensitive to so many things and I had to start which is good. It's good. It's better to go natural. It's healthier for you. It breathes better. It's just better for your health all the way around. So that should be a good indicator. It's just funny that it wasn't until I went through menopause that I started noticing this. So where do I buy quality linen? The first linen I bought, I got from Amazon because and it's 100% linen and I love it. But that price jumped up about $10, not a yard because they had 2-yard cuts. It went up from being like $28 for a 2-yard cut that was fairly wide, like 72 inches, to $38. And then I had found another place because I couldn't get the black linen from that place. So I was really doing some research because I wanted black linen because, around the house, my work skirts are I tried to do all black because of what I do. I need them to be black. And so I was really trying to find black linen, not the easiest color to find in linen. And I did find this place that is 100% linen. It's all in Europe. It doesn't come from China. And I love it. It's called 3H Linen. And when I was first buying the fabrics from there, I was getting a pretty good deal there too. But then all of it, about the same time it went up at that one place on Amazon, I noticed it jumped up in price there. But yeah, 3H Linen, I know there's other places, and I can't remember, but those are the only 2 places I bought linen by the yard from, and I don't remember the Amazon store name. But 3H Linen is definitely, that's been a good place. It took a while for me to get to get my order in because they had to wait for, like, the black took a long time because they had sold out and they were waiting for more to be made up and then shipped to them. So, yeah. I am eventually going to do another video on skirts, why I wear them, and how, mostly how, because a lot of people wonder. So, my skirts are very, very full. I mean, I'm sitting here in this chair and I can pull all the way up on both sides, which I love this. To me, um, it works best for my personal lifestyle. And if I ever had to use my martial arts to defend myself and I want to do some kind of high kick or something, I can do it because my skirt allows me tons of room to do that. And it also makes it easy because I can throw it, like if I'm going out to feed the chickens, I can throw it over my arm. I can wrap it around and tuck it in the back so it's not dragging in the mud in the front. Just I have a few different things. I can even tuck it up under my arm like this. I have all my little tricks that I do. See, I apologize. I'm cooking and listening to you. Did you say homemade mascara? Yes. Yes, homemade mascara. I use it mostly just for mascara. I had a video, but I had to take it down and redo it. It's going to be publishing again soon. It can still be found in its original form on Rumble, but, the one for YouTube, I had to take a little snippet out so I don't get in trouble again because of something I mentioned. So irritating. It has to do, in case anybody's curious, it just has to do with a precious metal that could keep it from spoiling, which is why I recommended it. Anyway, even though it doesn't really spoil anyway, because pretty much all the ingredients in there are not going to spoil on you. Unless you're adding a lot of water, then maybe. It just depends on, yeah. See, I quickly browsed 35 pages of your Rumble, but you got to do a search, Brenda. And how you do it, Rumble does kind of irritate me, but this happens on YouTube too. How you search on, like, YouTube is nice where they have the search bar that's if you're on a computer. It's not if you're on a smart device, unfortunately, but if you're on a computer, each channel has their own personal search bar that's like to the right of all the different tabs. And then you can just type in the topic. But Rumble, unfortunately, isn't like that yet. That's one of the other things I'd really like them to change. But if you put in the full Rumble channel name, Rain Country Homestead, it's all one word, and then put mascara, it should pull it up. It should. I think I found it doing that. Every now and then, though, you do that and you're like, why is this video not coming up? I know I have this video here somewhere. And even when I search from my dashboard, sometimes I can't find certain videos. I'm like, why is this happening? But if I have it if I have it in a playlist, then I can find it. That's just another reason why I'm so glad they have playlists. So you can also look at, I can't remember the name of it on Rumble. There is a playlist of like skin, hair, beauty, something like that. So that it might be easier to find it that way. So if you go to the playlist tab and scroll down until you find the one that has to do with skin and hair health, something like that. Beauty, I don't know. But it is in there. So that, and that's the original. But yeah, don't apologize. Don't apologize for asking. I understand. I'm one that I'll be listening to something while I'm cooking, while I'm washing dishes, and I'm like, wait, what they just say? Back it up. I get it. I get it. Totally understand. No, it's not the ingredient that starts with a T. It's two words that start with C and S. No, I wouldn't use the one that starts with a T in my mascara. I wouldn't recommend that one. There I go. My throat's really starting to have its issues. I do have my elderberry tincture spray ready though, just in case. Okay, I got more questions just on my notes. That's okay. It's okay. You guys are asking questions because the questions are great because it gives me more video fodder. But so another one was somebody asked me, what do I think about the castor oil craze? Well, I think castor oil is great. I think everybody should have castor oil on hand. But just like with anything else, every time there's always some kind of craze, some kind of fad, and everybody is like, "Oh, this is the cure all for everything." No, it's not. It's not the cure all for everything and for everyone. Just because it works really good for this person here for this particular thing doesn't mean it's going to work for another person. Do I still think you should stock up on castor oil? Yes. Yes. I have some castor oil I got that I mistakenly, one of those other things where I wasn't paying attention, I was, trying to make sure I get hexane free because a lot of castor oil, they might add hexane or whatever. They do something to it and you don't want that in it. So what I got didn't say that. And I had a whole gallon of it. I'm like, doggone it, I can't use this the way I'd planned. So I use that in some of my soap making. I'm not worried about it in there. And I don't use it solely in the soap, but I'll add it. Like I'll replace some of the coconut oil with castor oil. You can use castor oil in your soap making. I use castor oil now in well, I have for a long time. Which I probably should start using again because it's winter time. My hair tends to fall out more in the winter time. But and no, and for me, I found out it's not the D3. Um, anyway, I have a hair oil, like hair growth oil I created years ago. And I don't think I did this initially, but eventually I started adding castor oil to that because it's supposed to be good for helping with hair growth. I also add it to my muscle and joint rub now because castor oil is also one of those that's good for muscles and joints. I think I mentioned this in a recent live show where I was answering the question. Maybe it was last week's. I think it was last week's. It was. So, um, I don't have a recipe for foundation. I have a recipe for face powder, which I actually kind of got back into using, especially wintertime, just lightly, just to add a little bit more color to my face. And it's all totally natural. And you can also find that in the beauty, skin health care, whatever. It's two. I don't know why I have two different names on YouTube and a different one on Rumble. I mean, I forget when I go to, create a playlist. Wow, whatever it's called, and I just call it something else. But yeah, it's just cocoa powder and French green clay and tapioca starch mostly. So, and then you just blend it to match your skin tone the way you want it. So anyway, but yeah, castor oil's good, but it doesn't mean, I mean, just because everybody's going crazy about castor oil and saying it can heal everything, don't buy that. Don't buy into that. Don't assume that. Get some good castor oil, have it on hand. You'll never know what it's going to work for you. But just don't assume that it's going to be a cure all for everything. But I have a few videos out on castor oil because it is great stuff. All right, next question. Have I tried? Okay, this was a great one. They asked me, have you tried fermenting leaves and then drying them for teas? No, I haven't, but I keep meaning to do this. I'm definitely going to do this next spring as my blackberry leaves, raspberry leaves, and stuff start coming in. So what somebody told me, and I think I've heard this a couple times now, is if you take like your berry leaves and you ferment them first, then dehydrate them to use in teas, it actually brings out the natural berry flavor in there. Because when I make tea out of fresh or dried leaves, I don't notice a berry flavor. It's just a mild flavor. I wouldn't necessarily say pleasant, but it's not bad either. It's just very mild. It blends well with whatever other herbs I want to mix it with. But I thought that was interesting. So if anyone else has tried that, please share in the chat or in comments below the video in the replay. I would like to know if anyone else has had that same experience with it and it got that flavor, but I really want to try it. So it was a great question. I found out castor oil works great to stop my ears from itching. Yeah, I mean, it's really good for dry skin. And some people may not like it though because it's so thick, and they might find it best to dilute it a little bit in another type of oil. I don't usually like using it straight just because it is so thick. Sometimes in the wintertime, I will mix. I haven't done it this year for some reason, but wintertime's when my skin gets the itchiest and driest and my hair. Well, because winter, we got the wood stove going, dry heat and all that. But a lot of times in the evening, anyway, I'll take a little castor oil and mix it in with my regular skin cream before bed. But I don't like using it plain before bed because then it just gets all over your pillowcase. But if you mix it with something else, it'll absorb better into your skin and it's not as messy. But let's see. Okay, so the fermenting leaves. And then another one, somebody asked, why would my garlic keep floating after weeks? Well, probably because it's still fermenting. So if you're making the honey infused garlic and if it keeps floating, it's because it's still bubbly in there, still fermenting. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's a good thing. And that right along with that, is Tyler in here? Oh, hi, Tyler. He is in here. Somebody said on my fermenting onions video, which I ferment onions the same way I do garlic. And they said that I had said that scoop off the stuff that's floating to the top. I never said that. So I don't know where they got that idea, but they were like, well, I keep scooping the onions out there floating at the top. And pretty soon I'm going to have more just keep falling to the top, and eventually I'm not gonna have any onions left in the jar. It's like, well, first of all, I never said that. I'm not really sure if maybe they were thinking somebody else had said it and thought it was me, or if they misheard something I said, which I can understand. I do that too. But no, there's no need to, whenever you're fermenting stuff, you don't have to keep scooping the stuff off the top that is floating. You can stir it, you can shake it just to make sure things get mixed in well while it's fermenting. But once it's done fermenting, it's not a big deal. A lot of times the stuff is again floating to the top because of all the bubbly stuff going on in there. Eventually, it will sink, but, yeah, it's not a big deal. Let's see. Weaving around the wood stove down here. Oh, really? Is that cold in Texas right now? Huh. Let's see. Yeah, it's been pretty chilly here lately, but still not. I mean, it's Forks. We don't just like we don't get a real summer most of the time, or if we do, it might be a couple of days. We don't usually get a real winter. It just gets chilly. Sometimes it gets frosty. Sometimes we might get snow for a day or two. Though we have had a blizzard come through and the snow lasted for quite a while for here. But usually what happens is it snows. We might even get 2 or 3 inches of snow. And then next day it rains all day and it's all gone. So, people have got their snowman. They run out there and build a snowman as fast as they can because they know they might not get another chance. And then in a couple of days, the snowman's nothing. It's the only snow you see. It's just a dirty lump in the middle of their yard. So yeah, that's kind of how it is around here. So, I was gonna talk about the citrus peels first because that was the thumbnail I used, and I forgot. So somebody asked this one. I'm sorry to say, did kind of make me laugh a little bit, but I'm not at the person, not at the person asking the question. I mean, people have honest questions, but it's because, well, it actually kind of made me sigh because it's like, all right, who is spreading lies about the citrus peels now? There's always going to be somebody who starts a new rumor about something being toxic. So somebody was like, well, I don't remember what video it was on, but I must have been talking about citrus peels for tea or whatever. I heard that citrus peels and tangerine peels were toxic. No. In fact, uh, what why can't I think of the name of it? But when you grate the citrus peels to add flavor to things, this is something that's been done forever. And what is the name of it? Somebody help me out here. I'm having another one of those brain cramps where the word just is here, but my brain does not want to access that part of the hard drive. So, you know, uh zest, thank you. Yes. So orange zest, lemon zest. Yeah, people have been using orange peels, citrus peels forever in food. And I use citrus peels in all kinds of stuff. And I like using it from like your satsumas, your tangerines, your mandarins, because it has a very thin pith on it. And the pith can get really bitter. Well, that's pretty much the only type of oranges that we buy to eat are the smaller, easy peel ones because of the thin. We like the flavor of them best, and also because of the thin peel on them. So some people will try to remove all that pith. I don't bother, and I use those to make cleaning vinegar. I use them to make regular vinegar for whatever I want to use it for. So the picture on the front of the thumbnail that you saw that was like red with the orange peels, whatever kind of citrus that was a soda I was making, a natural soda. I was fermenting using the citrus peels and the here I go again, hibiscus flowers. That's where the deep red color was coming from, and that makes a really nice soda. You let it ferment for a few days. I add my fermentation starter, a little sugar, the water, fermentation starter, let it ferment for a few days until it's really fizzy, and then I stick it in the fridge with a tight fitting lid so it will keep that fizziness for as long as possible, and I really like it. I mean, I make a lot of different types of sodas that way. But yeah, I use citrus peels in a lot of my teas. I use them in my elderberry tincture. Um, oh goodness. I have a video just on the many uses for citrus peels. I use them in my orange icing. that I might drizzle on my pumpkin cookies or my on my pumpkin bread. I'll add them into breads and, sweet type things for flavor. I'll use them in my orange chocolate when I make the orange cream chocolate. Yeah, they're great. No, they're not toxic. So it frustrates me that somebody, there'll be somebody that will start a rumor. It might be somebody who has a blog. It might be somebody who has a YouTube channel. I don't know who said it. Or maybe if this person simply misheard something, but then all of a sudden it starts this rumor and everybody gets on board and starts buying this lie that this is toxic, that's toxic. You can't eat more than 2 Brazil nuts a day or it will kill you. No, 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 no. If that was the case, I would have been dead many years ago. I love Brazil nuts. Good gravy. And no, you can't get, if you're taking selenium supplements, yeah, maybe if you're taking too much, but if you're eating Brazil nuts where everything's properly combined, the selenium with all the other great stuff in there, yeah, I think you'd have to eat a truckload before it could hurt you. But in fact, there's on the NIH, there's studies where they were giving people like 25 all at once, 25 Brazil nuts. Eat these Brazil nuts. And it really, really helped them with these different health ailments that they had. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because of that. Okay, what other questions? The garlic, the linen. Oh, somebody asked if all linen is the same. Well, no, you do gotta look. You want to look for 100% linen. Patrick, skillet, skillet, skillet. All right, Deb, Dimetra, one of you, somebody, get the skillet and use it on Mr. Rain. He's being naughty again. Excuse me. So yeah, you want to look for some places. Well, if you see linen, that's a really good price. Double check because it might be a blend. I'm not saying it's bad to have a blend. You don't want linen and wool mixed together, the fibers mixed together, and you don't want linen mixed with unnatural fibers either. You might be linen and cotton, and that would probably be fine. But no linen with wool, no linen with unnatural fibers. So I do suggest 100% linen or 100% cotton. And I don't know why that question didn't end up next to the one about the natural fibers. I think it was because they came in on 2 different things. Another good question was, what herbs do not have to be organic? Let me get a drink of water. Well, here's the thing. Generally speaking, most of your herbs in the mint family, the Lamicae family, do not have to be organic because they shouldn't be sprayed with anything. There's no need because they grow so prolifically and they're naturally pest resistant. Bugs don't typically like much of anything in the mint family, whether it be horehound, oregano, rosemary, thyme, your peppermint, your chocolate mint, your mojito mint, your lemon balm. They don't typically like these things. So generally speaking, you shouldn't have to, if you're having to buy your herbs, you shouldn't have to look specifically for organic. I still do. And the reason why, of course, I grow all of that stuff anyway, so I don't need to. But the reason I still would is because you don't know who's growing it. You don't know what they're using on it. Some people I'm just going to go ahead and spray this fertilizer and this pesticide on all of my stuff. You don't know that. And unless they say otherwise, you're not going to know. Sorry, I'm laughing at people putting my husband in his place. So anyway, botulism. It's become this big joke now that every time I'm like working on a video or I'm answering another question, Patrick's like, "You're going to give somebody botulism." Oh, and I laugh. And sometimes I use a skillet. It just depends on how I feel at the time. Strychnine doesn't need to be organic. So anyway, yeah, I still recommend looking for organic, but there are certain things you really don't have to stress about it as much. It's still a good idea to know your source that you're getting it from. And it's easy. Well, of course, there's people that aren't going to have the space to grow all this stuff. So I totally understand that. But if you have space to grow any of these things, they're so easy to grow. Almost most mints are super easy to grow. Now, if you live in a really wet area like us, you might have to struggle a little bit with things like rosemary and lavender because they don't tend to like as much moisture as we get. Though my lavender is always, well, almost always has done really good, but it took me a long time to find the right place to grow my rosemary. And I know I've shared this 100 times, but I don't know if I ever shared. I know I shared one time trying it in pots so it could drain better. Well, I actually tried it in hanging pots, thinking that water, the rainwater will just rush, flow right through there. They'll be fine through the winter. Nope, that didn't work either. I had to I had to get them in a place where they weren't catching all the rain. And so right up next to the house is the only place. And I was noticing my rosemary on the south side here up next to the house. That thing is like it suddenly, I mean, it's always been doing good, but I swear, even since summer, that thing has grown at least another foot. I cannot believe how big it is. It's like it's not as tall as me, which isn't saying much because I'm only 5 foot, but I think it's 4 foot tall. And I know those of you who live in dry areas are like, well, that's nothing. I've got a 10 foot rosemary. This is Forks, people. This is rain country. This is a rainforest area. So that's impressive for here. And I'm impressed. I'm impressed with my plant. And I'm glad I finally found a place where it does well. I think I had one more question in here. And it was the one about the somebody wanted help with their stopped ears, congestion. Um, I I'm not going to say I know for absolute certain the best way to go about this, but I would think something that you would take internally that would help open up the passages. Rosemary is really good. I think pretty much any of your really strong mints, horseradish, if you can handle it, opens everything up. It might help. I can't say for certain on that one. And then if it's possible, if it's possible, it's an ear infection, then I mean, you can use vinegar. There's all kinds of things you can use for ear infections, but quite a number of years ago, Patrick had ear infections both ears, some kind of infection. We tried all the natural stuff. He used olive oil. He used vinegar. He went to the doctor, gave him ear drops. Nothing got rid of this infection. It was stubborn and it got so bad it spread out from the inside of his ears out to his earlobes and everything were swollen and weepy and sore. And I just was feeling horrible because I felt like I couldn't, and I was only just really starting to get looking into the different natural things. And then I remembered, oh, wait, because it kind of struck me that it could also have been a fungal type infection because the way it was. But knowing that coconut oil is antifungal, antiseptic, antibacterial, I think it's antiviral. I'm like, this is our last ditch hope, coconut oil. So he started putting coconut oil on and in his ears every day, maybe a couple times a day. He could probably tell you if he remembers. It was a while. It was quite a number of years back. And I'm thinking within 2 weeks, both ears were completely clear. And he had been dealing with that for months. Doctor didn't do anything for him, and none of the other natural remedies were helping. It was the coconut oil in this case. Now, that doesn't mean that for someone else who has an ear infection that maybe the vinegar or the olive oil won't work better. But I know the coconut oil for none of that worked for Patrick. It was the coconut oil that did it. And the difference is that, well, olive oil will loosen up stuff. Any kind of oil will do that. But because of those antibacterial, antifungal properties of the coconut oil, that will kill the infection. So that's what the main difference is between the two. But then, of course, there's things you can take internally. Like, I was talking about the my nasturtium, antibiotic extract that I make, uh, oregano. Well, a lot of that stuff anyway. If it's hot, it will help, but it's also naturally antibacterial, antibiotic. So it could help clear the ears if they're infected. That could be why the ears are stopped up. Wasabi. Yep, wasabi is a type of horseradish. So they're related. Um, I grow horseradish, so I love. I've been using the horseradish that I finally dug up a couple years ago, dehydrated it and powdered it, and use. I like adding that to my honey infused garlic. It really clears the sinuses. I love it. Patrick's not a horseradish type person. So I think that was it on those questions. So I wonder if anyone else, we're looking up for time. Oh, we're not doing too bad. If anyone else had any more questions. Well, I've never used fractionated. You could use that. I've just always had the solid. But the thing is coconut oil melts at like 78 degrees. And your body temp is what, what is it? 92.9. Is that right? No, that's too low. I'm thinking of a radio station. Anyway, your body temperature is higher than 78 degrees. All you have to do is you can put it in your hand and it's going to melt. So if you just take a dollop and put it on or in your ear, it's going to melt. And yeah, there you go, 98.6. And it's going to run down. You can let it run down into your ear canal, rub it around. Yeah, I was thinking of a radio station around here, 92.9. I haven't listened to in forever, but yeah. Yeah, and again, if it's for unclogging, a clog, or olive oil or any of that's going to be great. So I keep looking at my notes. I don't know why. I covered everything. I did good. I got it all. Let's see. Was there any other questions that I may have missed? Scrolling up and seeing what's a fermentation starter? Well, yeah. A fermentation starter, I learned about the ginger bug because many years ago, I thought I want to learn how to make mead and I want to do it the most natural way possible. And so I was just searching on the internet. This is before, I think YouTube might have been a thing, but I never used YouTube. I just would go to different blog sites, and this lady had a video. She had an article on making a ginger bug and using that for making her mead. Well, ginger bug is a type of fermentation starter. It's just made with ginger, sugar, and water. And so I started with that. Works great. And then I thought, ginger is really expensive to get at the store, and you can get organic ginger. And so I'm like, I wonder if I can do the same thing with anything else. And so I started experimenting and have found that I can use dandelions. I can use any fruit, herb, or vegetable as long as it's fresh or dried and not frozen, to get a fermentation starter going. It takes typically 3 days to have your fermentation starter ready to use for whatever you want to use it in, whether it be fermenting garlic, making wine, making mead, making a natural soda. I even use it for kimchi, even though technically you do not have to. The nice thing I like about that, it gets it going a little faster and I don't have to use so much salt. I love it. So ever since I started experimenting with making different kinds from whatever I have on hand. Oh, orange peels, dried rhubarb, whatever, you name it. I've done it. What else did I use? Another weed, red clover flowers. Yeah, and so I have lots of videos on it on my again on my other channel. And if you go look for it, look for the one that has a blue background and it's got lots of bright colors in it. Because I was using, I think it was 4 different ones in that. So I had all these colors. I think I was doing rhubarb, one with kumquat, one with dandelions, and I don't remember what the other one was. I love my thumbnail for that. It's so pretty. But that's my most thorough video on the fermentation starter, how to make it, how to keep it going. It'll last forever if you just keep up on it, and how you can use it for a good number of things. I love it. Yeah, make bread. Thank you. Yes, I've used it to make bread with many times, or I've even made a pizza crust with it. So it just takes a while, kind of like sourdough. It takes a while. You got to kind of let it ferment, the flour and all that ferment for a while. Question. So when fermenting cabbage, how much ferment starter to use? My fermentation starter, again, this is all explained in the video, but typically, whatever I'm making, I use 1/4 cup per quart. So that means if I'm doing a half gallon, which is 2 quarts, I'm going to use a half cup. If I'm doing a whole gallon, like I would for when I'm making wine or mead, I use a whole cup. So it doesn't matter what it is. So if I've got a quart jar of kimchi, I'm going to put in, before I add any water to it, I'm going to put in a 1/4 cup of my fermentation starter. I have tons of videos on my main channel showing me fermenting many different things, garlic, onions, some floral kimchi, some cucumber kimchi, regular kimchi, using the fermentation starter. So general rule of thumb, 1/4 cup of the liquid from the starter to every quart of whatever it is you're making. So just remember, there's 2 quarts in every half gallon, 4 quarts in every gallon. That's the reason it's called a quart, because there's 4 in a gallon. So, what? You are welcome, Judy. Thank you for being thankful. All right, what else is going on here? Let's see. Is Patrick still needing the skillet? Do I need to just get up and go in there? Don't make me come in there. Yeah, fermentation starter in the page search bar on the main channel. Again, if you're on a smart device, you might not have that specific search bar for my channel. So you would have to type in on the YouTube search bar, Rain Country first, or well, it can go in either order. Rain Country, fermentation starter, Rain Country. And that way it will narrow it down. But there'll be several, because one of my very first videos I put up was on that. And it was very simple. Then I did no, it was fairly simple, but there was a lot more I could have said. I had people complain it was too long, so I did a shorter one. But then it didn't have enough information, so I did an update a couple of years after that. And then my most recent one I did just this last year. And you'll know, just because it's very bright colors on the front. I know it's like orange, yellow, pink, the lids of the jars. Orange, yellow, pink, and red, blue. I don't remember. I arranged it in such a way so it would look really cool, and it does. Okay, let's see if I had any other questions. Let's see. I don't see any more questions unless there are some up here I may have missed. So I'm going to scroll up, and you can keep your questions coming. I'll probably have to get off here maybe in about 15 minutes or so. Okay, why did this bounce down, or did somebody ask that question twice? Okay. And that's fine. If you have to ask it twice because I didn't see it, that's fine. You can do that. But sometimes I then get confused. It's like, oh, wait, did I see that? Oh, do I have comfrey seeds? No. I did see that when I was going to get to it, and I forgot. My comfrey is the type that doesn't put out seeds. There's 2 different varieties of comfrey that they specifically bred to be sterile, because comfrey spreads like crazy. It spreads like crazy through the roots as it is. If it puts out seed too, yeah, you'll get inundated with comfrey. So no, I don't have seeds. I know I tried because I wasn't sure. My plant was given to me from somebody else who was growing it locally. They just pulled up a couple of plants and gave them to me. And so I'm like, oh, I should see if this thing gets seeds. Nope. I let it flower, let it, I let them mature, no seeds. They're just empty flowers. Let's see. Okay, I read the waterproofing thing. Is there anything else? I thought there was another one here. One more crochet. Sorry, I hate the long pauses, but I'm trying to make sure I'm getting everything. I think I got them all, but if somebody asked a question, I missed it, feel free to ask again. Being good is being boring. Do you peel, cook squash before dehydrating? Yes, I do. You don't have to, depending on the type of squash. If you're gonna powder it anyway, it's probably not important. Um, but some of it can be pretty tough. What I do, and I know I have a video on showing how I do like the pumpkin and spaghetti squash and whatnot that I've dehydrated, and you can do it with any squash. Now the zucchini, I don't. I don't peel it. I always leave a peel on the zucchini. Unless I let the zucchini age to the point that it's like a pumpkin and it starts turning orange. But because it will, if you leave it long enough, it'll get hard on the outside the way pumpkin does, it'll get harder. But what I do is I bake them first. It makes it so much easier. I just put a little water in a pan, throw the pumpkin in there. Usually by the time I'm doing this, it's winter, so I have a fire going. I just put it on the wood stove on a trivet and just let it bake until everything's nice and soft. Then I can just scoop it out, spread it on my silicone sheets and dehydrate it. Works great. I love it. And then powder it, and then use it in whatever I want. I just made uh like the last Saturday of every month we watch Jace, and I knew he was coming, so I decided to make pumpkin pancakes for him, trying to get as much healthy stuff in there as I could. So I threw in some my pumpkin powder, and yeah, he liked them. He really liked them, so that was cool. Peroxide for ears, please. Is this a question or statement? Peroxide works great for cleaning out ears too. You let it, if that's what you're asking. Peroxide works great. That's usually what Patrick uses to clean out his ears. He puts the peroxide, he pours it into the ear, lets it, and just lays on a side, lets it soak, and then he flushes it out with warm water. And it can really be good at getting out, impacted wax, which I don't know. Maybe that's what that person was talking about. I'm not really sure what they meant by congestion. I thought they were talking about, like, how you get a cold and everything just kind of feels plugged up. So, okay, let's see here. I do have lots of other herb seeds, but no, not the comfrey. Okay, I'm just looking. Any other questions? And I'm not seeing them. So, I do want to address something that a statement that came in today, and I wanted to clarify something. So, somebody, and it was weird because they put their comment on the video where I didn't say anything about my channel. It wasn't because it was a remastered video, and somebody came in there and says, "You need to just stop obsessing about YouTube." And they're right, and yet not fully understanding the situation. So I talk about it a lot because I'm trying to get people to understand where I'm at and make sure people know that I have the second channel. And yes, there was a point I was obsessing about it too much because I was freaking out, honestly. So for if that person's watching, or if anyone else thinks that I'm obsessing about it, I wanted to say this just just to get people to kind of think. So if you're working your full-time job, that's what YouTube is. It is a full-time job. I love it. I enjoy it. I hate to ever have to give it up. I enjoy it. I enjoy the interaction. I enjoy learning from you guys, and I enjoy teaching people. I enjoy being able to do it in a format that people can get it for free, which is why I don't have any paid memberships of any kind. It is why my Patreon is free. Some people choose to donate, but not everybody can. And I understand that. And I want people to have the information, but it is still a full-time job. So if you're working your full-time job and you've been doing it for 8 years, and all of a sudden, one day your boss decided to give you a cut in pay and cut it down to one third to one quarter of what it once was, but you never got any answers as to why. Would you not be a little concerned? Would you not be wondering, do I need to work harder? What am I doing wrong? What should I be doing? Why am I not getting any answers? Why is my paycheck down to one quarter of what it once was? I don't know what to do. Would you not be concerned about that? I'm sure you would. Now, the right thing about this is no, I should not be obsessing about it. And actually, to be totally honest, Patrick and I really, really prayed about this together. And it's just like, Lord, just really help me to not be so worried because this is all it was all because of my faith in him and him leading me to do this that I'm here in the first place. If it's time for him to take it away, I need to let it go. And so I was able to finally say, you know what? I'm going to let it go. And until I know for sure, I mean, I know that God will shut the doors when it's time. So I'm just going to have to trust him that he'll shut the doors when it's time for me to be done. And until then, I'm going to keep doing my job and I will know. And once I was able to do that, it was like suddenly, I mean, I knew I was needing to do that. It was that letting go. And suddenly I had peace. When I start and I thought, okay, I feel like the right thing to do is go ahead and start this backup channel. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I mean, I had the Rumble, but I'm like, why didn't I think of starting a second YouTube channel as a backup just in case? So I have this too, since Rumble, oh, might make $20 this month. Woohoo. Um, but what it just seems like everything's been falling into place and I have a peace. Some things are looking better. I'm hoping they stay that way, but I don't know. I have no idea. Again, until the door's completely shut, I'm going to keep plugging ahead and I'm not going to obsess about it in that way, but I'm still going to keep putting in the work. I'm still going to keep putting the information out there so you guys can have it for free. You don't have to pay me membership fees to get anything I have to offer. All of it is free. So, with that said, I have to say a massive, massive thank you to all you people who have been so supportive, coming into the second channel, coming into the lives, playing my all videos playlist. I'm seeing the results. As of today, I've got 2,200 watch hours. That means I'm over halfway there. And I appreciate that immensely. I mean, even Deb has created other accounts just to go watch and like my videos from different accounts. It is helping, and it means so much to me that you guys care enough that you do that you take that extra time to just open up a window and let stuff play. It really does mean a lot. I'm going to try not to cry, but I want you guys to know that it does. I'm seeing the results and I just appreciate it so much. I guess that's part of it too, is it shows me that you're always going to get haters, you're always going to get people to get mad at you because well, you shouldn't make money off of it. Well, why? Why not? I'm still giving you free information, you're not having to pay for it. And why um you always tell yourself, I mean, a lot of times I can handle it. It's like, yeah, yeah, goodbye. You know, if you're going to be ungrateful, you can leave. But it doesn't mean that sometimes it doesn't just kind of get to you. Everybody says, oh, just let it roll off your back. Well, everybody that says that, they would have a hard time too, every now and then. And what I have to remember is the great many people, like all of you in here right now, that are just so amazing and so loving and so caring and putting in the time to make sure that I can still be here and still keep doing what I'm doing and still be able to put food on the table, still be able to make some revenue off the many hours that goes into what I do. And I don't know. I don't think there's anything else I can say to really express how much it really means to me. It does. I'm just seeing all these great comments through coming through here. If we watch the same video more than once, does that still count? I believe it does. Um, some people think that you need to clear those videos out of your watch history for it to count. I'm not sure how true that is, but um, I think it counts either way because it's still a view for YouTube, and they're still making money off of the ad revenue. Just like on this channel, they put commercials on my videos, but on this channel, but I'm not monetized. So they're making 100% of the profit. So, which is a little weird, but okay. I mean, I knew it was going to take time regardless, and that's fine. I'm still willing to put in the work to make sure that my content's here in some form. And as long as God still wants me here, I'm going to keep doing it. But he would be the ultimate decider. And so if he wants me here, he's going to make sure I stay. But I do believe that part of some of what was going on was you need to learn to trust and not worry so much. We're not supposed to worry. We're supposed to work. We're supposed to be diligent. We're supposed to be persistent, but we're not supposed to fill our days up with worry as to what's going to happen. We just need to trust. So, yeah, well, right. Well, it's about it's your job. It's your job. Work in your full-time job and taking a massive cut in pay for no reason or no reason that you know of. I do think I might have an answer though. I think I might have finally figured out. And it's certainly not an answer from them because they won't tell you. I do think a lot of it may have to do with the natural remedy related stuff. So that tells me it all has to do with it's not exactly YouTube, it's all about who's making the most off of ads or who's doing the ad placement. So certain places that don't want you talking about natural remedies because it affects their bottom line. I'm not going to go into detail why I believe this, but I've seen some things that are making me go, just looking at my analytics and looking into just studying some different things. I'm going, maybe that's it. I don't know for certain. I really don't know, but I do know of other channels that talk about natural remedy related stuff that have been stomped down hard because of what they do. One channel got completely demonetized, though YouTube kept putting commercials on their content for I think 3 months. So they made nothing off. They kept putting out content almost every day or every week, that is, and they made nothing off of their hard work for that time. So anyway, yep. I got to be careful because you just don't even know what you can say anymore on here. But doesn't mean I'm going to stop talking about natural remedies because I will. In fact, I just did, right? I just answered some questions dealing with natural related stuff. And so I'm still going to talk about it because there's no rule against it, not in the community guidelines. There's just rules against specific natural substances like the tea and the CS and a few other things. Can't talk about. Eventually, I'm sure if things continue that you can't talk about any of it, but I'm going to keep trying as long as I'm able. So, and then there's always Rumble. If all else fails, as long as they still stick to their guns as far as that. Oh, I can't say that word either. Let's stick to their principles as far as that goes. Oh, it's funny because Patrick was trying to make a comment the other day and he was using a certain word related to that, but it wasn't about that. It was about making statements and just shooting them out there. And he couldn't make the comment, couldn't make that. I said, try taking this particular word out. Well, the comment, he'd make the comment and it would just disappear. It'd just go off into oblivion. And then when he took that one word out, all of a sudden the comment went through. Oh, isn't that interesting? So yeah, even though that word is not in the taboo, don't ever talk about list. Well, it kind of is. So you can't even talk about now toy pew pews, toy ones. You can get in trouble for that too. It's like, are you you're kidding me, right? What if it's a water one? You get in trouble for that too? I mean, oh my goodness. See, you know, time things get worse, you know, we will buy your books. Thank you, Brenda. Yeah, no books yet. No, at this point, still no intention of writing a book, but who knows what future has to hold. Maybe if all of this has to go away, maybe then I'll dedicate my time to that. I just hope it doesn't go. I don't have desire to do that. Funny how those topics are taboo here since you can do a search how to make, yep. It's Sandra, it's simply because those particular videos have not been caught yet. Once they're caught, because you gotta consider the fact that millions, maybe billions, maybe trillions of videos that are on YouTube. It's a lot. And you never know if you're the content creator, you never know when that video, because I had several that I'd recently found where that substance is mentioned. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thankfully I found it before they did. You never know. So it's just when they find it though, those videos, those people that have those videos, they're going to get in trouble for it. They're going to get a warning at least, and if they don't take them down, they'll go to strike. Or if they don't, if they find more, they'll get a strike and then another strike and then another strike. 3 strikes are out. So but yeah. But see, the thing is once a certain channel has been targeted, found out because of that particular thing, they're going to be the most at risk. But I know that Dr. Eric Berg had also like an antiviral or antibacterial, and I happened to see it. I was looking for something else, and I don't really follow him. And I noticed I was looking up to see if I could find more antivirals or antibacterials or antibiotics that I hadn't yet mentioned since I was reshooting both of those videos. So I came across one of his page, kind of stumbled across it, and there was a YouTube video to go with it. The YouTube video had been removed. So I'm like, I wonder why his video got removed. So I started looking through the list that he had on that web page. And sure enough, that substance was in there. That explains why the video got removed. So yeah, they're getting removed. It's just, it can take a while. It can take a lot of time. So it's better off to be a little proactive when it comes to that once you know. So at any rate, I do have videos on all that stuff on Rumble. So I don't have to worry about it over there, at least not now. Because at this point, they're telling people just to take a hike, whoever they are that are trying to get channels shut down on Rumble. Take a hike. People still have freedom of speech here, which is surprising. There on Rumble, not here. I found a video of yours one time about CS, Googling it and following the link. But yeah, they should all be gone now. Unless it took you to Rumble. Because they're on Rumble. In fact, last year, several months ago, whenever, I shot a whole new video on how to make it, to put it on Rumble. Because I'm like, oh, this video's old anyway. I need to update it. So I just shot a new video with more information and all that. So, see, a rainstorm, is this a question? Well, it's got a question mark. I'm not sure I understand. If you're asking what that is, I cannot say. But the initials are CS. That's all I can say. Yeah, I can't. That's why I can't talk about it, or I can get in trouble. I'll get a strike on my channel, and I have to be careful. So if I want my channel to stay, whether it be this one or the other one. Yep. And I don't even think you can say it in chat or in comments. I know you can't even have it in your Oh, because I think I told you guys that I had okay, so I don't remember if it was the antibacterial video or the antiviral video. I found that I'd mentioned that substance in both of those videos. And so I took the video down, cut out that part where I mentioned it and put it back up. But silly me, I had copied without even reading it everything that I had in the description box because I had a bunch of links in there. I'm like, I don't want to go find all this stuff. And I put them in the description box for not even reading it. And I finally realized that's why that video got taken down after all, not because it was in the video, but because it was in the description box. Oops. So that was my fault, but you have to be careful. So there was a guy that is very popular. He has a video from 18 weeks ago with the time, benefits of, and the word is spelled out. Yep. I'm sure he does. It takes a long time. Yep. I think he just put that out. And the thing is, I don't even want to say his name out loud. I don't think he realizes yet because it's still a fairly new thing they've added to the list. And if he hasn't, I mean, you have to be every so often try to remember, oh, I better go read their list again and see what they've added to it. And if you're not doing that, you won't know that they've added it. They don't tell you, oh, we just added this to the list. You can't talk about. They don't send you an email. They don't let you know that they've changed the rules yet again. You won't know until either somebody tells you or you take the time to go look or you have a video that gets removed. And then you get a warning or a strike. So, yeah, always moving the goalpost, but not telling you until it's too late. So, if someone knows him well enough, you might consider contacting him through email and say, hey, you might want to check the community guidelines on that because they've added that particular substance to the community guidelines. You cannot mention it or you can get in some big trouble. So, okay, it just hit me. Oh, it's been okay. Figured it out. Yeah, it's a precious metal. Let's see. It kind of is the color of, I don't know, not the color of that. It's not the right color, but it is a precious metal, and it's not gold. And then you make it so that it is suspended in liquid. That's it. Something that is still used in hospitals, as far as I know, has been for many years as a disinfectant. So anyway, in fact, I first learned how to make it by watching a YouTube video, an old one. I believe that one's long gone too, but it was one of the first ones on YouTube about that. And so I was like, oh, cool. So yeah, anyway. Yeah, they would need to be 100%. Or, well, let me say this, 0.999 at least, pure. If you can find 0.9999, which is far more difficult and much more expensive, that's best. But you want it at least 0.999 pure. So you don't want the junk stuff, what's called junk. You know what? So anyway, I think I should probably get going. I got more video editing to do and some dishes to wash and some eggs to collect. And I think I got a couple of chicken water buckets I need to clean out and refresh and then haul some more filtered rainwater up. And whatever else I'm forgetting. I got a good start today, by the way, because I woke up at 1:30 and I was wide awake. Normally it's 3:34, but this morning it was 1:30. Sometimes I get to thinking about, oh, I got this to do today and I gotta do this today. And I wonder about this or that. And then once my brain starts working, it's done. So I tried, people. I tried to go back to sleep for an hour. Finally got up at 2:30. But hey, I got a lot of stuff done today, but I tell you what, I'll be falling asleep on the floor, living room floor tonight, probably about 7, maybe earlier. Yeah. Probably when we're trying to listen to our scriptures tonight. 'Cause Patrick and I listen to like 5 chapters every night out of where are we at? We finished Ezekiel. What's after Ezekiel? Why am I having a brain cramp? Anyway, that's where we are. So, anyway, yes, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to all my moderators for helping out, showing up, even if you're only here for a few minutes or whatever. Really, really appreciate it. And again, all of the many hours of time you've put in to help this channel gain some traction so I have a good backup in case something happens to the other one. So, love y'all. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for stopping in. God bless.